Tri-City Center. Google Terry's Diner Redlands on Yelp or find them terrysdinerredlands.com.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the greatest real estate investment show ever. Here's the flip-flop investor himself, Todd Bayer.
Hey everyone, how we doing out there today? This is the Flip Flop Investor Show, and I am your host, Todd Bayer, the Flip Flop Investor himself. Every week we get together, we talk about real estate investing here in the Inland Empire, and really anywhere, but we're just in the Inland Empire, so that's where we talk about it. We like to talk about it. We get a local expert on the air every single week. Sometimes we bring on a local guy who's newbie or not so new. You're not new to the industry, but newer to the industry. So we have a repeat guest, somebody we've had on before, which I'm very excited about this because you came prepared. Todd Dominguez, how you doing today?
Mr. Bayer, how are you, sir?
Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Considering the rain and everything,
It's a little soupy out there.
A little soupy, yeah. We got a flash flood warning just before we went on.
Our phones did go off.
Yeah, so fortunately the policeman was very helpful.
I was surprised how fast you outran him. That was good.
Yeah, and he was very sporting about it at the end. Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah, but we made it here safe and sound. We'll see what happens afterwards.
Be careful out there, everybody.
Everybody, wow. Yeah. If you're out there driving, be careful. The roads are slick.
Yeah.
So Todd's a real estate flipper.
Yes, and enjoying every minute of it. I love doing this job.
Yeah, because you've done other stuff before.
Well, yeah, I've had careers before, and most of them have been in sales, and there's a lot of carryover.
Right.
But we kind of discussed that the last time I was on the show. It really is about the numbers, just grinding it out, doing it day after day, and every once in a while you hit a good one.
Yeah, it's true. And a lot of people probably don't know that going into this business. They think that. I don't know what they think, but they're always surprised to find out how much of a sales system you really need to have.
I have a funnel. I track everyone, and I check back on all if they don't go through. So yeah, you got to keep track of everything you're doing.
Yeah, and it's do you have systems built out for these sorts of things?
I do. I use Pipedrive is. Well, I don't know if we can mention names, but I do use a. Okay, good. Yeah, no, it's a really good funnel system, and it keeps track of everything that I want to look at and when to go back and revisit these things. So
yeah, and Pipedrive is sort of it's like a digital funnel you can track online. It's a cloud-based thing.
It's one of the best I've ever used. So
really,
it really it navigates my daily actions. I live in that thing.
I think you and I we've talked about using Goldmine before, right?
We've talked about it. I haven't looked into that one, but I'm so happy with the one I've got that if it ain't broke, I ain't gonna fix it.
Right. And I don't know what Goldmine's like now because the last time I used Goldmine was in 2003. 2002, maybe 2002 is probably more likely.
Yeah.
And it was good then for what it was, but it was on an intranet. It was on an inner office system. I don't even know if they had an online version at that time. I don't know if they have an online version now. I haven't looked into it, but
I'm sure the IT administrator loved it, whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. They did. They had a full-time IT guy
that
there.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
So it was a very expensive program back then. I don't know what it's like now, but Pipedrive is good because even a small real estate investor, if you're just a solo kind of deal, a solopreneur, which you're not, but
no, I've actually been fortunate enough to form a team that's really working for us now. But yeah, I'm the guy in the team that goes out and hunts.
Yeah,
it's just like a sales job. But
and your intake.
I'm on the other side of the equation this time. But it's a system that we've kind of come to that it really works for all of us. So.
And then did you develop the Pipedrive thing? Like, did you actually build out all the little...
I did.
So each segment that you could possibly be in from, cold lead to warm lead, I mean, how are you structuring your Pipedrive?
So I have a lead in, which is unevaluated properties that I need to get to. Then I have evaluated properties, and I make a decision there if I'm going to make an offer or not.
Okay.
Then I have properties that I've made contact with the owner specifically, so principal to principal. And then if it's on the MLS, I'll kind of categorize it that way. If I've made an offer, we're waiting to hear back. And then if that offer is accepted, we get into escrow, and then it's into construction, and then it's back on the market. So that's kind of how I structure it.
So you're doing it based upon the the properties rather than by the owner or the person that you'd be in touch with.
Yeah, no, I view each property as an opportunity itself. So
Okay.
not necessarily a, where it comes from, if it's a wholesaler or if it's a door that I've knocked on or if it's a realtor, I really don't discriminate that much in my pipe drive. But
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how people do it. I myself would have done it by owner name, by the person, because that's who you're talking to, and sometimes they might have multiple deals, but
Right.
There's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? And
Yeah, I had kind of done this in my previous funnels. I'd done it by company, but I view each property as an opportunity, kind of regardless of who the owner is. So
got it.
yeah, I don't want one going south just because I didn't do something right with the owner before.
So you sort of have like a loop back thing, right? So if it's like it's an unevaluated property is what you said you started out with.
Right.
If you start with an unevaluated, then you're supposed to evaluate it. But once you evaluate it, now you're coming up with a value on the property, and I'm guessing you're going to come up with like a rehab cost.
Right. Yeah.
A few other things.
Quite a few of them are kind of blind offers, so you kind of rule of thumb it. Just it's like a 10% of ARV is probably my construction cost. Is a good rule of thumb. But
okay.
A lot of times you get into it, and it's like, this is going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. Price reduction.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going to need that.
Yeah.
So you okay? I kind of like the idea of talking about pipe drive because you actually are probably one of the more stronger salespeople that I've ever had on the show.
Okay.
Just from your previous background in tech sales and things like that. It's,
right.
Building out your system is actually a very important thing to do, and pipe drive is a very good thing to do. We've used pipe drive obviously in our company.
Yeah.
I myself am not on pipe drive. I don't actually look at the pipe drive. This is something that, because I don't handle intake for our company. That's all handled through Steven and the other people we had doing that stuff. But they had a pipe drive system built out. And, I know that it was very helpful for them for, follow up and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, and daily activities too. I mean, you kind of do the unfun things first, and then the rest of the day gets fun. So, but yeah, I structure every day around that tool.
So every day you wake up, and first thing you do is turn on pipe drive.
I think pipe drive actually is my alarm clock.
Is it?
Yeah, it's time to get up now.
Nice. So, and on pipe drive you got and pipe drive really is a customer relationship management software.
Yeah, it's absolutely CRM.
Yeah, and it's tied into like a sales funnel. So, you can basically track your deals through multiple steps.
Right.
I mean, think of it as like you're running a tire shop.
Right.
It's the same thing. You could use it for basically any kind of a sales situation where it's starting with a lead to a.
Yeah, and I the way I kind of use it is I check it the night before. Here's all my activities for tomorrow, and then I do this on my computer, and then as I'm driving around, all of a sudden it pops up on my phone. Oh, time to call this person. Let's see what they're doing. That kind of stuff. It really. I think it's kind of developed by salesmen.
Yeah.
Who kind of get it, and it's really. I wish I had this in my previous sales lives. I didn't really get pipe drive until I got into the real estate business, and I became that entrepreneurial type. It was always kind of that enterprise-wide CRM, Salesforce kind of thing. But
so
this one,
so you've used Salesforce. You've mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it's better than Salesforce, you'd say.
I don't want to talk bad about anybody. Salesforce is a really good tool.
Yeah.
But for my world now, yes, I like pipe drive better.
Does price play a role in this liking it better more? Or?
Of course, yeah. I don't want to pay $2,000 a month for.
No, man. I'm sorry, Salesforce.
Yeah,
you're expensive. Figure that out. Yeah. So
it's for the price, it's a really good value for me.
Yeah, Salesforce obviously has like enterprise level capabilities where you can establish teams and all this wonderful big stuff you can do. But with pipe drive, you can do it more as a smaller organization.
Well, I've been able to adapt it. So it's since the last time I've been on this, I've really kind of formed a team of 3 principals in here. And one of them you've had on your radio show, a gentleman by the name of Danny Ruiz.
Yeah.
He's just a fantastic contractor.
Absolutely.
Anybody out there, if you get a chance to work with Danny, please do. He's great at what he does. But if we're talking about pipe drive, I can assign activities to him. Hey, Danny, I need a scope on this property.
Yeah.
Let's go, or we're gonna go walk this property. We're at escrow. Let's go walk this property. So I can assign it to him. It pops up on his calendar. So
nice.
Yeah, it works really well.
You can set due dates and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of people that, probably when they start out in this business, they don't realize the kind of organization you need to have in order to do this effectively.
Yeah.
And so, it's a big thing. I'm glad you're talking about this because
one of the good things is it kind of takes the politics out of it. It's not me telling you to do something. It's pipe drive,
right?
Yeah.
It's not the Todd Dominguez app popping up on your phone.
That's right. Yeah. I know.
Saying go evaluate this property. It's pipe drive telling you to do it.
I can blame somebody else now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so most shows we do, most flip-flop investor shows we do, we're highly prepared. We always have a very long list of discussion and topic points we're going to go over. But today I didn't prepare any of these, because you, Mr. Dominguez over here, he prepared a whole slideshow.
I did.
On his company slide deck. It was very impressive. So you had a bunch of questions you were going to ask me. And
I did because, as a sales guy, if you want to win the game, sometimes you got to change the rules, right? I'm not as interesting as you. So,
man,
I don't think that everybody wants to tune in and hear what I have to say.
Of course
they want to hear your opinion. So, yeah, I came in with a slide deck today.
Very nice. And, these haven't been pre-rehearsed. So
not at all.
I looked through the first 2 slides. I think there's a lot more than that. So
I have more questions that I'm sure we'll be able to get through today.
Well, perfect. I guess we could lead it off. We're gonna do a role reversal today, and Todd's gonna ask Todd all the questions.
Yeah. So I'm calling this segment Todd Grills Todd. So
Todd what?
Grills Todd.
Grills Todd.
Yeah.
Okay, better than Todd on Todd.
That sounds like a weird movie.
2 Todds don't make a right.
Nice. So let's.
All right.
I'm going to start with a little bit of the tactical, then we'll get maybe into the economics of it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. So the first question I really wanted to talk to you about was your philosophy on permitting. There is a kind of a wide range of answers that I get from I never do that to I permit everything down to the light switch.
Of course.
So what really is your advice on permits when I get into a project? Because what is absolutely necessary to permit, what's kind of needs to be permitted, and what's the gray area?
Well, everything needs to be permitted.
Good.
Yeah, that's and this is going to be the politically correct answer. Obviously, you should obviously always permit your property. If the city requires it, you should permit it.
Right.
And if you don't know if they require it, you should go ask them.
So do you know guys that kind of try and get around that at all, or is
Of course. No, and the second part of this is the correct answer, the one that everybody wants to hear, and all the cities need to, they want to hear this from me because I know they're tuning in and listening. You got to permit everything, and you should always get your permits finalized, inspections, all that good stuff. But most of the investors I know don't permit. They basically do first, and then beg for forgiveness if they get stopped.
Right. And I don't ever want to call an investor and tell them, we've been red flagged because we didn't get permits on this thing. So I don't want to have that conversation. But I also see it as a value add when I'm selling that property. I can show the seller's agent, the buyer's agent, or the buyer herself, that everything here is legitimate and we've done it well.
Right. And it's, and it is a selling point, especially if you're going into adding square footage.
Right.
And certainly on the properties that we do, whenever we're adding square footage, we want to be able to show that on the tax roll. So we're always doing permits on those things.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to show that stuff. It gets into the gray area a little bit when you're talking about a light switch.
Right.
I'm sure the city would love to be notified for these things, but most investors I know, they're not calling the city out to be like, hey, we're going to change out a couple plugs and light switches in this house because they don't work.
And as busy as the guys that come out and do the inspections that work for the city, do they want to come out for a light switch? I don't know.
They do. Most cities have these very wonderful permits you can get called a rehab permit. So you can go in and just, for any of these basic things, you can let them know that you're going to be doing some basic stuff.
And sometimes it's just over the counter and you can show them what you're doing and they'll sign it out there, right?
Oh, not always.
No, never mind.
And some cities do require you have a business license in that city. I know if you're not necessarily housed at, your headquarters are not in that city, they're still going to want you to have a business license there, and they want you to pay your business tax and everything.
Right, and I say it is necessary. That's a cost of doing business, But
right, it's not much. That's the other side of it. Permits usually aren't that expensive to actually get.
No, they haven't been so far. But
but the expensive part of permits is really when you get into room additions, stuff like that, because now you have to get an architect or an engineer.
Right.
You have to get all these stamps from people and plan checks, and it just takes a lot of time and so forth. So
it's unpredictable to how much extra hold time you're going to add to the job. But I see it as a necessary part of this process. I haven't learned the lesson per se, but I've had conversations with people that have warned me.
Yeah, it's
just go get the permit.
Get the permit. It's not that big of a deal,
right?
Like a lot of people make a big stink about it. I know that in my past, there's been times where it's like, permit, there was a property we were doing out in Baldwin Park where we didn't pull a permit, and we got red tagged. It happens, and really all it caused us to do was have to file a permit for what we were going to do. Mm-hmm. But what ended up happening with that was that what we originally planned to do was going to make it unprofitable.
Right.
So what we ended up having to do was build out a room addition on this whole place. Mm. We were actually carrying off an illegal addition.
Oh.
And they red tagged us. Like we were doing what they probably wanted us to do.
Right.
Because we weren't going to rebuild the illegal addition. We were going to get rid of it. It was going to be a nicer property without this addition. But
that's a little bit of a catch-22. We're trying to do it right, but
yeah, they were concerned that we were going to renovate the addition that was on this home and try to sell it, which we actually weren't. That's the truth of that. But yeah, they stopped us. So what we ended up having to do to make the deal profitable was we had to now build up a much bigger addition off the back.
So not only did you get some extra holding time, you got additional expenses to
more
build
expenses.
That room back
exactly.
on.
Yeah, we built off the back another 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom attachment with like kind of a living room, which we put a wet wall in this room because we figured somebody might buy it from us and turn that into a second unit.
Good idea.
But we didn't want to actually file for a second permit or a second unit permit, so we just put the wet wall in there with like a wet bar in the living room. So if somebody wanted to make that into a kitchen later on, they could.
It's a good selling point, right?
We did, and we sold it that way that it was a nice feature that it could be made into a second unit down the road. It wasn't permitted that way, and we didn't sell it as a 2-unit. We sold it as a single family, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
So it all turned out okay?
It turned out okay. We made some money,
Good.
but that was one of those instances where we didn't get the permit, and we got red tagged. And for anybody that doesn't know, red tag from the city means you have to stop work, otherwise they can confiscate your tools. And
I haven't got one, but I've heard stories.
They're once they give you a red tag, they check up on you regularly. So
you're on the radar.
Yeah, you are on the radar, and like that property.
I don't think there's enough pizza you could buy to make them happy at that point.
No, and that property was the ugliest house on the street for many, many years. I'm sure it had many code violations going into it. They knew about the house and they stopped us. We were in the demo stage.
Yeah,
nobody's that unlucky.
Right. Somebody was watching that thing.
Somebody was. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe the neighbor was the inspector. I don't know, but.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out.
It worked out, but yeah, get your permits.
Yeah, absolutely. So, contractors. So I've got a really great situation.
Yeah, you're spoiled.
Yeah, I am, and I know it. And Danny's just a great contractor. But we're getting to the point where hopefully we can do enough volume that Danny is just kind of watching the jobs, going job to job, but we actually have to hire GCs.
Right.
So I want to talk to you, what really is the best way to vet a contractor? I mean, I like to ask them questions like, hey, can you push $10,000 a week through a job? Because I've got a time schedule. I want to move this job along. Have you worked with investors before? Do you have a portfolio? Can I walk one of your job sites? But what else should I be asking contractors?
Those are good questions. Those are good things you should ask them. Yeah. Having experience with an investment grade property is very important. Yeah. There's many contractors. Danny was a homeowner type contractor when we first met him.
Okay.
And we kind of made Danny break his mold a little bit.
Did you train Danny? Because he's fantastic now.
Yeah. Well,
maybe I owe you a thank you.
He didn't need much training. We just sort of had to dial him down a little bit.
Okay.
One example was Danny, and we talked about this when he was on the show. Was he wanted to put solid core doors in all the interior doors, so bedrooms would have solid core.
Was this in your joint venture in Diamond Bar?
In Walnut.
Oh, in Walnut.
We did a deal in Walnut. With Danny, and he wanted solid core doors, and we're like, we don't need solid core. We can do fine with the regular hollow 6-panel doors that we were going to put in, and he fought us on it. And
who won?
Well, he won, I guess, because he put him in anyway, but he paid for him out of his own pocket.
Ooh, okay.
So he said, I just want to do it because I want this. I got my name on it, yada yada. He had this whole thing about it, and he put lighting underneath all the cabinets, and so there's a lot of stuff that he did on that house that maybe it made it sell. I don't know. Maybe that's why it sold so quickly. Who knows? You know, the hammock in the backyard, and like some of the little flourish he did on the backyard landscaping. Some of that stuff we wouldn't have done. We would have probably just put sod and sprinklers in and called it a day.
Right.
But he wanted to put in like some brickwork area with a little fire pit thing and a hammock you put in between two trees over there. You know, extra cost, I don't know, maybe $800 is maybe like the total it cost extra. But for him, that's the kind of stuff he would want to do. And he wanted to do a lot of homeowner type things.
Right.
You know, some of the vendors he was getting stuff from were very expensive vendors. We found him some vendors that get the same product for a much lower price. So
he's actually good at that now. So whatever he picked up from you guys, he does it well now.
Yeah, because you got to be price conscious. You know,
Right.
like
Exactly.
when you're doing a kitchen for a homeowner, you can spend $50,000. You know, and I would never spend probably more than like 10.
Yeah.
And 10,000 is going to be a nice kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you know, you're going to be doing stuff with like the custom, you know, woodworking and the, you know, crown molding and all this other great stuff you can do in your kitchen. With a contractor, it's really important to know, like, you know, if you can get them to kind of talk about where they get some of their materials from, maybe throw some scenarios out at them, see how that pricing aligns with you. You know, just ask them what it costs to install a slab of quartz, you know.
Right.
Like, see how well they know their numbers. Like, that'll be a good sign of somebody that's good. You know, definitely checking up on what they do, really staying on them in the beginning. So, you know, we tend to kind of hire quickly and fire quickly, you know, so we like to give people a chance. But, you know, if we go to their job site halfway through the day and it's clear that they're not doing it the way we would expect it to be done, they're fired immediately. I mean, it's, you know, we're quick to move them in and move them out.
Right. That's good because that way the problems don't fester. I mean, I'm at every job site at least once a week.
Yeah.
So nothing's going to go longer than a week. But, you know, what about when you're getting into these conversations, when you're meeting the contractors, what about insurance and workers' comp and liability and all that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, if they're licensed, they need to have all that stuff. If they're not licensed, you need to have all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
You know, so it's, you know, you can hire unlicensed workers. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to actually hire them as an employee and pay them for the job, and you have to have workers' compensation. There's,
Right.
you know, a bunch of stuff you got to do.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know.
It could be costly, but it could also be a cost savings, you know, because if you have a guy that's really good at a lot of stuff and you basically have him working on all your projects, you know, he's basically like an employee anyway. You know, it might actually save you some time and money to just get him a charge card to, you know, give him an American Express card, and he can go buy materials, and he doesn't have to bother you about it. You know,
not a bad idea, but yeah, as long as they can track it and see what he's doing.
And you can, because, you know, you can always tell him if you go to Home Depot to buy materials or something, you have to use this job code or whatever you want to do, and they have to. You can invoice it, you know, and get it so it's nicely divisible,
right?
And, you know, review the receipts. You're like, oh, I see you bought a, you know, a Jack Link, you know, jerky, and you bought a Diet Coke. You know, I'm taking that off of the invoice.
Am I paying for those?
Yeah, am I paying you through that? No.
What about paying the contractors up front? I mean, state law kind of says what 10% or $1,000 is the most they can ask for. But how do you treat your contractors in the beginning of a job? Do you give them a bunch of money up front and say get at it, or how do you handle it?
We usually hand them 20% to start.
Okay.
And the reason being is because most of the guys we're working with aren't, you know, they're not licensed contractors. Most of the guys we have working, actually a lot of them are licensed, but they're not cash heavy. They don't have a lot of money of their own, you know, so they can't afford to front a job necessarily to keep it going.
Right.
Most of the people we have, are actually licensed. Now that I think about it.
Okay.
There's a couple unlicensed guys, and for them we have special arrangements with the contractors we work with, and they're hired by them.
Got it.
So they, but the guys that are unlicensed, or the guys that we have running the jobs, they're usually, we give them 20%, and that gets them started. Once they get that kind of stuff done, then we give them another like 20%, and we just keep it going until the end.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
We try to do everything like on a 5-draw kind of thing. But if we try out a new guy, we probably we'll start him with 10%.
Okay, just to make sure
it's been a while, but yeah,
first couple of weeks go well.
We'll start a new guy with 10% up front, and then depending on how he does, then we'll maybe advance 20% on the next draw. But we're always advancing. So
that 20% is really kind of after they've gotten through that probation period or whatever it is, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we like to, you know, we want to see how they perform in the beginning, first. But they're
are they showing up to the job sober?
Right? Yeah, exactly. We're on time. We're at all.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. They I don't know. It's tough with contractors. You know. I would say, generally speaking, it's probably best practice to have them front the job up front, and then you're reimbursing them upon work completed.
Right.
I would say it's probably better in general, just because you don't know what kind of quality you're getting out of these guys. I've met a lot of people that have lost a lot of money to contractors that started a job and then finished it terribly or didn't finish it, and, you know, now they got this big, you know, problem on their hands.
Been there.
Yeah, it's happened to a lot of people, where the money becomes a real issue at the end. It's not always an issue at the very beginning.
I've lived one of those. So let's talk a little bit about as you're getting into a property. Mm-hmm. So I feel better if I have a lot of questions answered before any money gets into this property, even EMDs.
Okay.
But I want to do inspections on a property. So we were having this conversation with my partners, but I want to do, as we're getting into escrow, the first week, I want to do a home inspection and I want to do a sewer line scope.
Okay.
And if those reveal problems, then I want to go do a termite inspection, which is usually kind of free. I can usually get those for free but a roof inspection, and then I want to see if the foundation is good. I want to see I have a major systems inspection. Do you think that's overkill, or is it a good idea or a bad idea, or is it a waste of money? What's your thoughts on that?
Most of those are going to get called out on a regular property inspection.
Right.
They may not do the roof, they may not do anything about the foundation, but most property inspectors we've worked with will at least tell you condition of the roof, condition of the foundation. They'll get underneath if it's a subfloor.
Yeah.
They'll get in there, and I've seen them take pictures of post and pier. They've done all kinds of stuff. Stem walls, they'll call it all out.
So not a bad idea, or is it?
It's a great idea.
Okay,
no, it's something you can hand your contractor at the beginning and say,
right.
We had an inspection done. All these things in red need to not be red when you're done.
Yeah, and a lot of times, if we're in escrow, hey, Mr. Owner, you didn't disclose this to us. These are extra costs. Maybe can we work something out here?
It can be used as a negotiation tool as well. Like you can get in there. Definitely stuff with the foundation. If you get in, you're like, man, this thing actually has a lot of foundation problems we didn't realize going in, because you may not notice that there's a slope in the living room when you first walk it. You're kind of just excited to be in there, and maybe the people are still living there. You're kind of looking at their stuff that they have. Like I know I've looked at their furniture choices. So,
well, it's those cracks coming off of every window and every doorway that
usually set you off. The big yellow spots on the ceiling.
Right. No, we painted that ourselves. We like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the decor.
Right.
It goes nice with my yellow couch. My yellow rug, which was from their animal. Inspections are good up front. The sewer line's interesting. It's it's something that happens fairly often where you'll find roots in the sewer line going out to the street. And there's a reason why the house isn't draining well or something like that. I don't know if you necessarily need to do that up front, but it can become costly if you have to replace a sewer line, a main line going back out. So
right, yeah, we've had that issue recently in a house we have in escrow. He scoped it and he says, there's some issues here. So, Danny kind of looked at it and said, it's not going to be that expensive, but it is an extra cost. So I'm glad we had that information going in. Yeah,
we actually just did it ourselves. We had a property, same thing. It wasn't draining very well, and it was actually roots in the line going to the septic tank.
Right.
So septic tank is something we always get certified. We always do that going into it. We always want to have a septic cert going in.
Right.
So one thing I would add to your list would be a septic cert if they're on septic.
Yeah.
Because septic tanks have caused us many problems in the past. And if we go in and we know the septic tank's bad, then we know we're gonna have to change it or do something to it. We've taken it as far as putting in a whole new leach field and leach lines, like everything. We've had to do a whole new septic system on a property in Phelan not that long ago.
That sounds expensive.
It was about what was that, about $8,000, I think is what it cost total, and we got a good deal on it. The guy was very helpful. It was, but it wasn't that big of a system. So, they can definitely get up there. I've heard of septic systems getting up to the, $15,000, $20,000 range. So
that'll blow a budget.
It will if you didn't expect to have to do it going in. We knew there was a problem with the system going in. We just didn't know we'd have to do the whole thing. So it was about $3,000 more than we expected to have to spend on it. We figured we'd have to replace the tank.
Okay.
We didn't know we'd have to do the whole field too.
Yeah, that's a big project. So
yeah.
So I'm gonna change gears a little bit, but
right.
My partners and I are at the point where we're trying to attract private money into this.
Okay.
So I want your opinion on what really is the best way to attract private money. So do I go to networking events? Is there a Starbucks where they all hang out together? Is it family money? Do I have to learn how to play golf? I don't like golf, but what's the best way in your opinion?
Every single one of those ways is a good way to do it, actually, because you'll meet them everywhere. Fortunately, all the investment club meetings, like the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, for example.
Real estate and date?
They go to those meetings. They, because they find them on meetup.com.
Right.
They find them online. They say, oh, the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. Maybe I can go there and find some people that want to do some deals together.
Okay.
People might have some money that they want to put to work. They want to do deals, but they're going to find out that finding deals isn't that easy. And sometimes it's easier to work with guys that are finding the deals and then have a team put together. So, for you, it's about putting together a presentation for them. So once you say, oh, you got some money to, to invest? Great. We got some deals. Why don't I take you to a couple of them tomorrow, or today or whatever. Let's go drive out to these 3 properties we're working on, and I can show you what we do, what we're all about. You can meet some of our crew, and
And then do you have if you bring an investor out to a property, do you have a pre-structured arrangement that you want them to do? Or do you kind of say, how would you like to fit into this project?
So you're saying like I have a deal like under contract and we're ready to close on this thing.
Right.
Generally at that point, I would not have an investor go out and look at that thing for the first time, because for me, we have a bunch of investors. So like we have,
right.
When we show a property to these people, they've already seen projects from us. It would be more like, this is a project you could have gotten, and I have driven investors out to properties that we're about to buy, but it's not for that deal because, that deal is already taken by somebody else.
Game at that point.
Yeah, I'm like, this is one we're going to be closing escrow on next week for, or something. This is one you could have gotten. I'll give them the details on how that deal would have played out. But they, so for the next one, I'll put you on the list, and then you'll get the email.
Right.
But this is somebody that I've obviously established a very close personal and business relationship with, because, you don't want to be selling securities to people you don't have professional business relationships with or personal relationships. We got to get to know these people really, really well. And since we're talking about it, we probably shouldn't. We should mention that we're not attorneys or anything like that.
No.
And, definitely not tax accountants.
I have no professional degrees.
No, if you want to get in any kind of investment deal, you should always do your due diligence. Do your homework. Talk to your attorney. Talk to your tax advisors. These people can tell you the right stuff.
Absolutely.
We can just show you what we're doing. That's
Right.
all we can do.
Right.
We're just having a conversation. Definitely not trying to sell securities. I would never do that.
I don't even know what those mean. Security.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, I have no idea. So, in your opinion, and I know that you and Stephen have a good pool of investors that you guys work with, and you have kind of personal relationships with all of them. But what really makes a good cash provider for you guys? Is it like he's able to understand a deal? He's decisive. He just wants passive income. What makes a good investor for you?
Good investors are passive. Like, let us do our job.
Right.
Like, we know what we're good at, and they're not going to be able to bring anything to the table, most likely, that's going to be, amazing for us. That's like, you can contribute so much more to this deal because you are X. On these deals, like, we've got more experience than most of them you could ever dream of having in real estate. So it's like, just trust us. We're the guys that do these things. Obviously they have to be able to sign off on the deal and say, I like this deal. This is something I feel comfortable with. But
so maybe the ability to analyze a deal, do you look for that, or do you guide them through that?
We provide all the information that we dig up. We always provide all of our due diligence to the people that are going to invest.
Okay.
And we say, here's everything that we've done. Here's the comps that we're using. Here's the rehab budget. Here's all the pictures. Here's all the everything we have. And so we've already decided this is a good deal, And when we send it out, it's like, you're not seeing all the no's, all the ones that we looked at that we're not doing. The investors only see the ones that we're good to go on.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of guys out there that'll try to push through a crappy deal, and try to get people to fund a bad deal.
Right.
We don't do that because we have the experience. We know better. So,
and it's ultimately, it's not my money.
Exactly.
I've got to be even more careful.
Absolutely.
I don't just pass the bar of, yes, I would do this with my money. This is not my money. It's got to be even better than what I would do.
Yeah, would I do this with somebody else's money?
Right.
Yeah, and that's a question more people should ask themselves before they jump into these things.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately our jobs are to be good stewards of investors' money.
Of course, this is money they've worked hard for. I mean, you got to treat it better than you treat your own.
Yeah, and money is a representation of somebody's time and decisions.
Right.
So it's you have to be really, really careful when you're choosing these deals to present.
Absolutely, and you got to stick to your budgets. And there's things you need to do to be a good steward of their capital. Absolutely.
Right. That's the number one job.
With my own money, I can go order DoorDash every single night if I feel like it. I can waste all my money however I choose. But,
right.
If it's their money, we shouldn't have DoorDash deliver all the building materials to the job site,
That's the best way to keep it on budget. So what are things that you don't want in an investor? Is it they want some sort of control in the deal?
Control is a big one. Yeah, that's been the most annoying thing for us in the past, is when investors really want to get actively involved in the deal and they want to come out and see it all the time. And it's like, I don't go and see the properties. I don't. I rarely ever go see them myself. Usually if somebody's going, it's going to be Steven. Sometimes I go, because it is still fun. I do enjoy it, but there's a lot I have to do back at the office.
Right.
So, it's usually the contractor, and it's like, hey, the investor wants to stop by. You don't mind, showing up and, showing them around. It's like, it's inconvenient to them. Yeah. Not all contractors keep the job sites in pristine condition while they're working on them. And, it really does just kind of get in the way. It delays things. Right. Like we like the people that just kind of trust in the process and just sort of, sit back and enjoy the ride and, wait till their check comes back. It's.
What kind of updates do you provide your investors?
We don't provide much.
Okay.
And the reason being is because the more we provide, the more questions get asked.
Right.
If I send them pictures and the roofs and all the ceiling's been torn off, for example, it's going to open up a can of worms for them, thinking, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And now they want to go see it. Right. Now they're concerned for their, for their investment. We have a Dropbox that we put all the pictures in, and they have access to it, but they mostly don't check it. Especially the ones that have invested with us multiple times.
Right.
They're just kind of like, you guys are doing your thing. The time I did look at the pictures, I freaked myself out, And this, it's happened more than one time to us where.
If I go in for surgery, I don't want to see the video.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to watch the live feed while they're doing it.
Not a good thing for me. So, yeah, no. How do you vet investors that come to you? Do you want to see, are they accredited? Do you have a profile that you have them fill out, or what is it? How do you vet them?
Yeah, we have a whole a series of things that our attorney put together for us, our securities attorney. Okay. That it's like there's a questionnaire they have where to ask them what their income is and what their assets are and stuff like that, because you do have to qualify. The way we raise capital, we do have the ability to take on some non-accredited investors, but that's really, really kind of tough for us to do because the amount of money that's at play in real estate is much bigger than most non-accredited investors can handle. Right. So if we wanted to pool together, say like 4 guys with $50,000 each to do a $200,000 deal or something, we have the ability to do it. We try to avoid it, and there's a lot of reasons why, but generally, yeah, we like to bring on the accredited investors because these are people that have the ability to evaluate a deal. They're playing with their own money. They're familiar with the process. And, when they don't have that level of accreditation, there's a lot of questions and a lot of hand holding.
Yeah, and a lot of fear on their part.
A lot of fear, and you don't want to be playing with somebody's only $50,000.
Right. Yeah, they're going to nose around it quite a bit, right?
They will, and those are the people we find are usually the more concerned. Yeah. The more calling you every single day or every week, and it's not that I don't understand why they're doing it. It's not like I feel for them, but we tell them going into it, this is going to take some time. There's going to be some ugly parts of this thing you may not like to see, and it's just the reality of it.
Yeah, who knows? Do you want to know how the soup is made, or just
yeah, exactly.
So, on to hard money lenders, because I'm still using hard money with a private money gap funding, but I'm a relationship guy. I like to know people's processes, that I can trust them. My hard money guys are a great third set of eyeballs on this thing to kind of check the numbers. But give me your thoughts on a relationship with a hard money lender. Should I be shopping them constantly, or can I get into a routine with one and it'll work?
I mean, hard money lenders, if you're working with a good one, somebody like Ryan Raven over at Rehab Loan Group, somebody like that. Great guy.
He really is.
These guys, they can vet your deal. They've been in the business for years. They know what a deal looks like. Right. It's sometimes you just like to have that service. But the good thing is sometimes these brokers that are out there, they are constantly shopping on their own for the best deals. Right. You may not always have the same lender on a deal, but sometimes the best part about working with a broker is that they're always shopping for the best deals for you. I know that Ryan constantly is shopping for new stuff. He's always telling me about new people he's taking on, You know, and I know I'm always signing new broker agreements, you know, to with these people. But
there's a deep pool out there of lenders. So yeah.
Yeah, and right now there's a lot of lenders that are competing on price.
Right,
you know,
right.
The leverage isn't changing much. It's still 70 to 75% ARV is going to be your average. But
your rate and points are really kind of starting to move.
Yeah, rates are moving. Points are you're kind of staying around the same. You're always going to be around 2 to 4 points. It's just kind of the way it is.
Right.
You know, because everybody wants to get their cut, and so.
But I'm so comfortable with the hard money lender that I've used before that I don't if it ain't broke I don't want to fix it kind of situation. But I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot on that one.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because if your person that you call up is hassle free for you, you say, hey, we got another deal. It's 123 Main Street. Then you hang up, and you practically have the deal funded. You just have to get a few things in order for them.
That's really how it's working for us. And you know, they don't charge us to come out and do inspections. And a lot of times we can just send them pictures and like, yeah, that's good. Here's your money. Here's your for the next phase. So,
if it's easy for you, if there's no complaints along the process, I would just stick with that person.
Awesome.
You know, you would have no reason to change.
Good.
You know, but if like in the process you're like, but they always put me over to Janet, and Janet's kind of rude, and you know, and then I have to go over to this person, then the inspector comes out, and it's always somebody different. You know, if it's a process, and if it's a difficult one, you know, then you should probably think about finding another one. But
we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. It's really they've had even different people come in and kind of manage the process, but they've all been really well trained. They're very nice to deal with, and the process kind of stays the same. So I really like my hard money lender, but I don't know what's if I'm shooting myself in the foot on that one.
No, I mean, probably not. I'm sure, and I know who your lender is, and they're probably giving you the best rate they can get, because I know who they get their funds from. So they're giving you pretty competitive rates, I'm sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, there's a comfort of working with the same people all the time. But I'm maybe I need to go talk to Ryan though too, right?
Maybe.
All right.
It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
You know, he makes it easy. He makes the process easy.
So the next question I wanted to know is have you guys ever sold a property without a realtor? Because Jim Keller is one of those mentors through the group, and he's just such a great resource for me. But I brought him to one of my properties, and he kind of pulled me aside and said, hey, look, we were talking about realtors, and he said, hey, look, a realtor is the most expensive hired gun on any project you're ever going to do. They need to work for their money. They need to be in this process from the get-go. So go find your realtor now that's going to sell this. But I wanted to know, give me your thoughts on selling without a realtor. So I would love to have a realtor that just kind of does the back office stuff, the TC, the transaction coordination, give them $5,000, but I can sell. I can have an open house. I'm a sales guy. I can do this. So what are your thoughts on selling without a realtor?
So I've done it before. I've definitely sold without a realtor. And you know, Steven's a realtor. Steven's, he's licensed. So a lot of times if we're tight on a deal, we'll sell it on our own.
Which is how he saved our deal that we did, the first one we did
together. That's how we did that one in Palm Springs.
I was so happy he did that. I went with that guy forever.
Yeah. So, we'll do that in those cases. It's usually a money thing for us is why we'll do it.
Okay.
Because, the deal went over or something like that.
But Steven is a really experienced realtor. He knows
also
what he's doing. I'm not so experienced, but I want to try, man, on this next deal, sell it myself. But what's your advice on that?
I mean, I would do it. I would do it because, you know what? If you want to do it, you should do it.
Yeah.
Because it's good to kind of learn the process. The cool thing is, the very likely thing that's going to happen is you're going to end up selling it with a realtor representing the buyer.
Right.
And their transaction coordinator is going to handle most of that for you.
Okay.
And you're paying half the commission.
Yeah.
Look at it. You're paying 2.5 to 3% commission.
So what are the pitfalls that I would need to watch for?
I mean,
how would you vet a buyer if they were coming in and you didn't have a realtor to back you up?
So I mean, the buyer, when they submit all the stuff about the buyer, you're calling the lender yourself. Okay. You're calling them up to see if they actually do have a pre-qualification. Make sure that they're good to go on their loan side. You do all the vetting. You're going to basically do what the realtor does, but most of what realtors do, and I'm probably going to get some some people not liking me for this, but most of what they do now is shuffle paper around. That's most of what a real estate transaction is.
Technology has changed this game quite a bit.
There are definitely a lot of things in a deal that require a realtor, where a realtor's there to really protect you, and all this kind of great stuff. And, they are very useful for a lot of people. We use them on every single one of our deals.
Okay.
Because we don't want to do it. We just don't want to be a part of it. We'd rather somebody else handle it.
So the brain power, just maybe not the cycles for you guys. it's better to kind of offload this.
We could do it. I mean, I've done it before. I mean, it's it's not complicated once you know how to do it, but for us, it's just a time thing. I'd rather pay somebody else to handle it.
Right.
You know, where I don't have to get any calls other than, hey, is that a yes or a no on that offer? And really, it's like, what do you think?
Right.
Like we do kind of lean on the realtor as much as we can because. Like you said, Jim said, they're very expensive hired gun in the deal.
They are. They're more than any subcontractor that we've hired to do any particular piece of a job. So
yeah,
I know they earn their money and they're worth it, but maybe that's something that I can do.
Yeah, it's worth trying.
Bringing value to my team. So.
I would say give it a try. Because you can always list it if you're not doing a very good job.
Right. We can always take it off the market and have a guy come in and step in and do it right.
Right. So what I did when I did it, I actually went through one of these companies that you pay them like $500 and they list the property on the MLS for you and they put your cell phone number down as the agent contact.
And I think it's down to actually $95 now.
It probably is. There's probably some out there because it's. Putting a thing on the MLS, it should,
and it populates on every site you're around. So
that's what it does now, yeah.
Right.
So they're going to show up on Zillow, Redfin, all the good websites that are out there, Realtor.com. It's going to show up in any consumer. I mean, I would love to kind of do a deal where I sell it and a regular person finds it and we do it because everything gets handled through escrow anyway.
Yeah.
Once you get a contract and you're in escrow, you're mostly communicating with escrow at that point. You're not actually communicating with real estate agents much.
To be honest, one of the really cool things that I would like to do is like to talk to somebody who wants to buy this house. I love relationships like that, getting to see what they like about the house and what's their Christmas is going to be like in here, that kind of stuff. I would love that piece of it.
That's the salesman side of things,
right?
Which bedroom's yours, kids? Go pick out your bedroom.
Let's get into an emotional buy here, right?
I mean, hey, that's how things are sold, And there's probably people listening that are thinking like, some guy did that to me when we bought our house. He told the kids to go look for their bedroom, or the realtor was baking cookies, or something. There's things that people do to sell stuff. And
I would rather spray the cookie smell than actually bake cookies. I don't trust myself in that.
There's those little things you can put on the air conditioning vent that make the whole house smell like cookies, or vanilla, or whatever you want, orange even.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, kind of a little bit bigger picture. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the market, right?
All right.
So I'm a big follower of Robert Campbell down in San Diego. I think he's a really smart guy.
Okay.
But he keeps it simple. So he's got 5 market indicators that he looks like. He looks at year-over-year existing sales. He looks at housing starts in any particular market. He looks for defaults and foreclosure sales, and then interest rates. Those are his 5 major. And his secondary indicator is affordability, which I was surprised at. I thought that would be higher up on the list, but he says it's less reliable because that if you look at before we got into the recession, buying was crazy.
Yeah,
there was irrational exuberance. But kind of what indicators do you look at?
Well, I definitely take what Robert Campbell says and just completely discard it.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't listen to that guy.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to him. In fact, the first time I was introduced to Robert Campbell was in 2012, and he was predicting a downturn that year.
Okay.
So I don't listen to him.
Got it.
Because what he said at that meeting was completely wrong. So that's my opinion of Robert Campbell.
Got it.
I don't listen to the guy. I take what he says with a very, very small grain of salt.
So who do you listen to?
I do listen to Bruce Norris. Bruce Norris is somebody I pay attention to. I pay attention to Christopher Thornburg. He's an economist with Beacon Economics. Very smart guy. Those are 2 guys I like to listen to. But we listen to our own indicators too.
Okay, so what are the major ones that you look for?
We look at a lot of things, but I definitely wouldn't discount affordability. Affordability is a big one. If people can afford to buy homes, they're going to.
Right. Okay.
But what we like to look at, we have our own thing that we do. We're calling it the MSA index. We're going to launch this at some point.
Okay.
But we look at basically, it's an affordability chart. It's can people afford rent? Can people afford mortgages? Can people afford, and it's all the different types of mortgages that are out there. You have the 30-year fixed, and you also have some, interest-only type stuff. And, it's really a predictor of when you get into a speculative market. And I feel like we're getting into a speculative market at this point, where, that doesn't mean people aren't going to continue buying homes. It doesn't mean prices aren't going to stop going up. It just means that for an investor, it's riskier because there's a chance now that somebody won't be able to afford that home when you go to sell it.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of places, before the recession, we were 17, 18% affordability rates. We're getting close to that now, especially in LA, Orange County, San Diego. We're down in the low 20s.
Yeah.
So those are big indicators for you, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. The affordability is a big thing. I mean, another thing too. I mean, you do have to pay attention to the housing sales. You know, there are a lot of things you can pay attention to as secondaries, but you know, the overall economy is a good thing. There's one thing that I like to look at, which is it's the ratio between the ratio of household debt payments. So this is kind of a weird one, but it's put out by I think it's the Federal Reserve, and it's basically it shows how much people are spending of their disposable income on their debt, basically, and that includes their mortgage, their cars, their credit cards, and so forth. And you know, it's right now it's kind of an interesting chart because it's low. It's low historically, where people are not spending a ton of money on stuff. There was one thing that happened before the last downturn where people bought a lot of things.
Pulling cash out of their houses. And
yeah, people were refinancing and people were buying, you know, dirt bikes and, you know, motorcycles and whatever. They were buying all kinds of toys.
I bought 6 speedboats. I figured
You did?
One's never enough.
No, you never need only one. I mean, what's your other family going to do? But
I think he's kidding.
Yeah, so you know, right now lending is still kind of it's responsible lending. You know, the government put enough regulations in place where it's hard to borrow money if you can't afford to borrow money.
Right. I mean, I was listening to Bruce Norris. He's saying, you know, since the recession, probably 84% of the equity that's been gained back since the recession is still in the house. People aren't going crazy like they were. So
yeah, and you're seeing HELOCs, but you're not. I mean, they're out there, but they're not being pushed like they were. I mean, I can remember 2005, 2004, even when people were pushing HELOCs, pushing them like crazy.
Right. And
even through 2006, I mean, they were getting pushed like very, very hard on people. And it's, you know, they're out there, but they're not being pushed like they were. And it's not, they're definitely not putting them out there saying like, you know, cash out the money in your home and go buy a boat or pay off your car. These were things that people were saying prior to the recession last time.
Right.
They're not saying that this time, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're saying it to fix up your home. Like they're saying it to do things to improve the value of your property. Like,
right.
You know, that's the kind of things we're hearing. So lending's still responsible, which makes it hard to kind of say that, because it's not until lending goes crazy that we've had these crazy run-ups before. And I think a lot of people have been saying that real estate is in danger, and yeah, it might be, but I don't think it's going to be the leading cause of the next recession. You know, I think some other industry is going to be the leading cause of it. Okay.
So last question, I think we've got about a minute left, but give me your thoughts on what buyers are most affected by rising interest rates. Is it the lower end FHA buyer that's got a first time home buyer? Is it the first move up buyer? It looks like the higher end properties are still moving fairly well, but the lower end kind of slowing down a little bit. So who's getting affected by the interest rates most?
I mean, interest rates are going to affect everybody,
right? You
know, and it just plays back into affordability again. Mm-hmm. You know, if interest rates go up, then your total borrowing power goes down,
right?
You know, if you can only afford to make a $2,500 payment each month, that's only going to afford you an X number of mortgage payment or mortgage.
If I could afford a $600,000 house, now I can get $540,000, you know, that kind of house, right?
Yeah. So if that just took you from Orange County into Corona, you know, like, right. So if you want to buy a home, you're moving, you're not going to live in Orange anymore. You're now moving into Corona or Norco or Eastvale or something, you know?
So is there a strategy you should pay attention to with rising interest rates? Do you want to move to a different segment or out of the business completely?
I mean, it's always looking at, you know, price brackets. You know, price brackets are kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. This is something my mom used to do. She used to break out every single home in Moreno Valley based upon its price bracket. So, you know, like homes from $150,000 to $200,000, you know, and things like that. She would break them out by size and all kinds of stuff. She did a lot of this data to really break it out. And so that's all the time we have for today.
Great show. Thank you, Mr. Baer.
Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you all again next week. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you start up with capital, business strategy, sales, and marketing, and establish your company with a physical location or an online presence on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. Then American Business Trust can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com. Or call them at 657-600-1876. That's American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They'll help your business right away. That's American Business Trust Company. Online at abtrustco.com. American Business Trust Company.
Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com. Make your dream come true today and create your new career and learn how to become a television or radio star with the help of Cali Vegas. 949-445-1119. Call now. Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea, the American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's abtrustco.com or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. Do you have any questions about legal issues? Have you ever been stopped by a police officer and issued a ticket that you're scared to deal with? Have you ever been in trouble with the law and don't know what to do? Do you have a will or power of attorney question? Is your home being foreclosed upon and you don't know where to turn? Maybe you were given a contract that you don't understand. For freedom and a worry-free solution, call for Legal Shield today at 213-245-1305. It's that simple. You will have access to high-quality law firms that will fight for you for less than $1 a day. Peace of mind is just a call away. That's for Legal Shield. Call 213-245-1305 or visit us at nocourt.us. It's justice for all and not justice for some. So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445 1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day,